Throughout this year, for the first 6 months, we have been focusing on the source of the living tradition of Unitarian Universalists. And this being the 6th month, we are talking about the 6th source, which is the spiritual teachings of earth-centered traditions which celebrate the sacred circle of life and instruct us to live in harmony with the rhythms of nature. This week, I will be focusing on the feminine aspects of paganism, also known as the Earth Mother. Next week, on Father's Day, I will focus on images of the Sky Father. These archetypes cross cultural and religious barriers and tell us about the human conceptions of male and female and how they relate to nature. Take a deep breath. Out of our mothers we emerge into the emergency that is our life, our brief moment in time, descending from the watery womb of eternity. Out of our mothers we emerge, lathered in blood and sweat, gasping for our first breath, crying out in defiance of death. Out of our mothers we emerge, toddling out the kitchen door as she prepares our oatmeal. We squeal with delight, attempting freedom, yet tempted to turn and return to safety. Out of our mothers we emerge with lessons of do's and don'ts and all the wisdom and worries that we accept or reject. To our mothers we return. Her voice sings when we talk to children. She is snuggled in every hug we give. To our mothers we return. And then she passes away beyond our reach. Her love is now ours to teach, until we too cease to live and merge with Mother Earth, immersed in the waters of eternity. In ancient Egypt, Mother Isis, floating on the Nile, conceives her son, and the statues of him on her lap are models for the Madonna and Child. Elizabeth Schussler Fiorenza, a Roman Catholic theologian, wrote that the goddess is the giver and nurturer of life, the dispenser of love and happiness. Being a woman living in sisterhood under the goddess brings us in touch with the creative, healing, and life-giving power at the heart of the world. The tradition about the goddess and of the New Testament are conflated in the Catholic community's cult of Mary. The more the Christian understanding of God was patriarchalized, the more God became majestic ruler and stern judge, the more people turned to the cult of Mary. In fact, Mary was declared Mother of God in Ephesus in the 4th century. And Ephesus was important because only 40 years earlier the temple of Athena had been destroyed there as Christianity took over. But even though they destroyed the temple, the sense of the people there of the Mother of God was profound. In India, the river Ganges is named for the goddess Ganga, with her long flowing hair. As the goddess Ganga washes away the sins of those fortunate enough to have their ashes thrown into her holy waters. In a hymn to Ganga, Shiva himself says, "Mountains of sins accumulated by the sinner disappear at the mere touch of the sacred Ganga water." Jesus was washed in the river Jordan, and a dove descended from heaven, and its voice was heard saying, "This is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased." The text does not reveal the gender of the voice, and has been assumed by many to be God the Father. But the dove is a feminine symbol. Christians adopted the feminine dove as a symbol of the Holy Ghost, which may have originally been the goddess Sophia, representing God's wisdom. Water is a source of life. The Hindu goddess Lakshmi floats on a lotus flower. She's the creative force springing from the primeval ocean. Chalakuchichu, an Aztec goddess, held dominion over all running water, including rain. She sent a flood to cleanse the world of evil. But in her kindness, she provided a bridge of many hues, the rainbow, for people to survive. Tiamat, a serpent goddess of the watery abyss, Sumerian creatress, a Babylonian goddess mother, whose formless body the universe was born. Motherhood is associated with water. Motherhood goddesses are goddesses of the earth, and the earth is mostly water on its surface. The continuing nurture of life. But water is not always benevolent. It often overflows. The Mayan goddess sent a flood. The Hindu goddess Kali creates rivers of blood. And God, in the Bible, God answers Job's questions about why his life has been destroyed by describing the divine creative and destructive power. In Job 38:25, and moving forward, God says, "Who cuts a channel for the torrents of rain and a path for the thunderstorm? To water a land where no man lives, a desert with no one in it, to satisfy a desolate wasteland and make it sprout with grass. Does rain have a father? Who fathers the drops of dew? From whose womb comes the ice? Who gives birth to the frost from the heavens, when the waters become hard as stone and the surface of the deep is frozen?" Notice the feminization of divine in this passage of water. It's questioned whether the rain has a father and whether fathers drop the dew. And then, in the only instance where the holy reproductive organs are specifically mentioned in the entire Bible, it mentions a womb. A womb that pours forth water in its creative and destructive forms. Motherhood is powerful. It has the power to create and destroy. This has been affirmed by prehistoric priestess and argued by Sigmund Freud, and experienced in some degree by all of us. Who we are is in great part determined by our mother. Even if all she gave us was her DNA, that ties us to our heritage. And before we were even ourselves, we swam in the waters deep inside of her. She transferred her being to us. The water broke and we were pushed into the world. All of us Male and female carry the power of motherhood. All of us, parents and non-parents, carry the power of motherhood, the power to nurture and destroy. The two powers seem like opposites, but actually they are both part of the process of creation. Any mother can tell you that her life before motherhood was destroyed by bringing children into the world. The power of water to destroy and nurture is a good symbol for motherhood. There are lots of reasons. When researching this sermon, I was drawn more than once to the memories related to water. My own mother loved the water. My fondest memories of her were along the shores of Lake Huron. She and her best friend, Miss Applegate, would lead us all in a rollicking game of catch. The water gave us freedom to dive for balls that would be impossible to catch on land. My mother was 35 when she had me, older than the other mothers, but she didn't stay on shore like them. She plunged into the waves with laughter. Overweight and awkward on land, in water, she was transformed into an athlete, weightless and strong. Water was freedom. Our family time was often spent traveling to water, with its regenerating power, whether it was the big lake stretching out to the horizon in its cold intensity, or the warmth of Lake May, one of the 7 sister lakes, small inland lakes that were warmed by the sun. But my favorite mother time was along the Akiak River. There's a waterfall. It's the largest in the lower peninsula of Michigan. It makes it about 3.5 feet tall. And my mother would sit in it and let the water rush over her, totally engulfed by the water. It seemed scary and magical until she showed me the secret. I had to trust her as she taught me how to do it. She said, lean back and the water will go over your head, and there's plenty of room for you to breathe behind the waterfall. She said, if you lean forward, the water will overwhelm you, but leaning back, you could be in a small world of your own. Looking up, you could see the sun sparkling through the running water. Being washed in the Akiak River did not wash away my sins, nor did a dove descend from heaven. Nor did I hear the actual words, this is my beloved Son, with whom I am well pleased, but I felt that love. She taught my heart to fear, and then my fears were relieved. A warrior, she taught me the danger of water, then taught me the courage to enjoy it. We live in a dangerous world, and part of motherhood is to protect children, but more important, children need to be empowered. Motherhood is the ancient and eternal source of power. It's the power of life itself. Though much of the earth is water, mother is also associated with the land and fertility. The ability to grow things is the greatest power. The Greek god Gaia is associated with the earth and is considered the mother of all gods and goddesses. Other Greek goddesses included Demeter, goddess of fertility, who went to the underworld to save her daughter Persephone. In Scandinavian countries, the goddess Freya, from which we get the name Friday, is a mother goddess associated with nurturing. Pele, the Hawaiian goddess, is less gentle. She creates land through explosive activity. Volcanoes are destructive at first, but eventually result in more land for plants and animals to live upon. My grandmother was a goddess of the land. Growing up a farm girl in Michigan and marrying a grocer, she had a little garden behind the grocery store, which she called her patch of gravel. It frustrated her as she dug and dug each year to try to coax some flowers and some vegetables out that I don't remember the flowers much, but I do remember the cherry tree and the plum tree and the raspberries and the rhubarb and the carrots, which never grew much longer than this because the soil was so poor. And this is before mini carrots were even invented by grocery stores. And I realized that those little carrots were so much tastier than the big, huge cardboard carrots you got at the grocery store. And this interaction with the earth, coaxing it to give its blessings. It helps me remember my grandmother, and whenever I come to work by the office door, I'm afraid to tell you this because all of you might eat it too. There is a lovely patch of rhubarb by our office door, and it is gets you right there, chokes you up. Destruction and recreation go hand in hand. To dig up the earth so you can plant. The goddess can be aggressive as well as nurturing. And gods can be kind as well as cruel. The earth and nature both sustains and destroy us. Whether we conceive of her as a goddess or an impersonal force, any damage we do to her will be damage we do to ourselves. We cannot kill the earth. We can only make it uninhabitable by us. We can choose to be part of the balance of nature, or the balance of nature will go on without us. We live in a dangerous world. Part of motherhood is to protect children, but more important, children need to be empowered. This Sunday at the picnic, the kids will be playing outside. They will be making shirts, tie-dye shirts, outside of your kitchen, which is a nicer place to make them. They will be experiencing nature. Getting kids outdoors is harder and harder in these days of structured play dates and electronics that detach. We have pictures of our great family vacation, and I have a picture of my son sitting between two redwood stumps with a Game Boy. But getting those kids out into the world, getting them connected to their mother, to the mother of us all. We learn about the power and the beauty that nurtures us, and we can participate in it. May we bless and be blessed.